Simultaneous equations are just where you've got two equations, so a pair, where x will be the same in both and y will be the same in both. So to be able to work this out, you've got to solve them together at the same time. That's why we call them simultaneous equations. Step 1 is really easy. You just label the two equations 1 and 2. By labelling them, it makes it easier to follow the next few steps. That's step 1 done. Step 2 is a bit trickier. You've got to make sure that either your x's or your y's have got the same coefficient. So coefficient just means the number before it. So if we look at this first example, example 1, both of our y's are 1y. One's a positive and one's a negative, but because they are both 1y, that is done. If we look at example 2, we haven't got two coefficients the same. For the x's, this is like 1x and this is 2x, and these two numbers here are different as well. So we're going to need to do something about that. And the same for the third example. We haven't got two that are the same. So what we need to do then is we need to think, right, what do we need to do to equation 1 to get a coefficient the same as 2? The easiest way to do this one will be to make the x into 2x, and we can do that by taking equation 1 and timesing it by 2. So if I take equation 1 and times it by 2, 2 times x will give me 2x, 2 times 3y will give me 6y, and 2 times 29 will give me 58. Now I've done that, I can get rid of this one for a minute, and this one becomes equation 3. So I'm going to be using equation 2 and equation 3. And for the third example, okay, again, because the A's have got different numbers and the B's have got different numbers, I've got to think, right, what can I do to get two numbers the same? So for this example, I'm going to take equation 1 and times it by 3, and that will give me 6a minus 15b equals 33. And then I'm going to take equation 2 and times it by 2, and that will give me 6a plus 4b equals 17. And now you can see that I've got 6's before both of the a's, and these will become equation 3 and equation 4. So step 2 is just about making sure you've got the same number before one pair of letters, and it doesn't matter which pair. Okay, so now we can just see a little bit neater what I did on the previous page. So we've got, for example 1, we've got the two y's which have both got the coefficient of 1. For example 2, we've now got the coefficient of 2x. So if you remember, we were going to ignore equation 1, and the new one becomes equation 3. And for the final example, we made the a's into 6a's by multiplying the first one by 3, which gave us equation 3, and equation 2 by 2, which gave us equation 4. So step 3, it says that should be with your pair of matching equations, you've got to use the rule same sides subtract to add or subtract them to get one equation. Okay, so what that means is we're now just going to focus on the letters where the coefficient is the same. So for example 1, we're going to focus on the y's because they've both got the same coefficient. Now, because they've got different signs in front of them, that means we add. So different signs means add. And actually, this word here should be signs. Okay, so if they're different, we need to add. And if they're the same, we need to subtract. So because, going back to this example, because they are different, So same sign subtract, different signs we're going to add. So we are going to do equation 1 add equation 2. Okay, so equation 1 add equation 2. Well, 2x plus 3x is going to give me 5x. Y take away y gets rid of those. And 7 add 8 is 15. Okay, looking at the next example. Okay, I'm looking at equation 2 and 3. My 2x's are the coefficients that are the same. Now these are both the same, they're both positive 2x's. So I come down to my rule, same signs, subtract. So for this one, I'm going to do equation, I can either do equation 2 take away equation 3 or 3 take away 2, and I'm going to do equation 3 take away equation 2 because equation 3 has got the bigger numbers, so it's going to be easier. So equation 3 take away equation 2, well 2x take away 2x cancels them out, 6y take away 2y gives me 4y, and 58 take away 26, 58, 52 will give me 32. And on my third example, I'm looking at the 6a's, and again they are both positive. So same sign, subtract. This time I am going to do 3 take away 4. So equation 3 take away equation 4. So 6a take away 6a cancels them out. I've got to be a bit careful now because I've got a minus 15b plus 4b. So that's like I owe someone 15b's and I pay them back 4. So that's going to give me minus 15, add 4 is going to give me minus 11. Oh no, sorry, I'm subtracting, so that's wrong, sorry. So because they're the same signs, I'm subtracting. So I'm actually going to be doing minus 15b minus 4b. So that's going to be minus 19b equals 33 take away 14 equals 19. Step 4. So now I've combined two equations into one. I need to solve that equation, and that's going to give me half my answer because that's going to give me one of the letters. So looking at example 1, if 5x equals 15, I need to divide both sides by 5, which will give me x equals 3. Looking at the next example, if 4y is 32, I'm going to divide both sides by 4, which is going to give me y equals 8. And then for the last example, I'm going to divide both sides by minus 19, which is going to give me b equals minus 1. So I've now got half my answer. I now know that for both of these equations, x equals 3. For both of these, y equals 8. And for both of these, b equals minus 1. My next step, now I've got half the answer, is to use that half to get the next bit. So whatever letter I've now found, I substitute that back into the equation 1, so that first equation. So let's look at example 1. I know that x is 3. So example 1, equation 1 on example 1, okay, x equals 3. So 2 times x, well that's going to be 2 times 3, which is 6, plus y, because I don't know what y is yet, equals 7. Now I've got that, I can work out y. I can take 6 away from both sides, which is going to give me y equals 1. So now I've got both my letters. I've got x equals 3 and y equals 1. So that's my answer. Looking at the second example, okay, I know y equals 8. So I'm going to take equation 1 and put y into that. So I've got x plus 3y, so 3 times y is 24, so x plus 24 equals 29. So to work out what x is, I'm going to take 24 away from both sides, which gives me x equals 5. So for example 2, I know that y is 8 and x is 5. And for the last example, I know that b is minus 1. So I'm going to go back to equation 1 and put minus 1 in there. So I've got 2a. Now minus 5 times minus 1 will give me a positive 5, because if you times two negatives you get a positive, equals 11. So 2a is going to be, I'm going to take 5 away from both sides, so 2a is going to be 6, divide both sides by 2, so a is going to be 3. So I can see for this example, b is minus 1 and a is 3. My final step, and I would recommend you do this because you've got plenty of time in your test, is to check that your two answers are right by using the second equation. So we've already used the first one to work them out, now use the second one to check them. So for example 1, 3 times x, x is 3, so 3 times 3 is 9, minus y, and y is 1, so minus 1 equals 8. So this is correct. So I know that this is correct. For my second example, remember I'm using the second equation. So 2 times x, x is 5. So 2 times 5 is 10. Plus 2 times y, y is 8. 2 times 8 is 16. 10 add 16 is 26. That's what I've got there. So they must be right. And my last example, remember I'm checking on equation 2. 3 times a, well 3 times 3 is 9. 2 times b, so 2 times minus 1 will be minus 2. 9 take away 2 is 7, which I've got there, so I know that is correct. So it's quite a long process to go through, but even if you remember part of it, remember even if you can get halfway through, you'll be able to pick up some of those marks.